our measures, because we learn from everybody. It might just be one word that'll send you soaring. And and see this right here, we know that thoughts of Allah cannot die. We're spirit beings. We can't die. And so that with that, we know that man and Allah are one. That's the understanding. That is the rock in which man builds himself. And we have to work on that. Because with this type of thinking, there's a whole bunch of things we can do. There's a whole bunch of things we can do. We can change the thoughts of anybody, just that we don't have, sometimes we don't even have to say anything. It's the energy that's flowing off of us that people want to find out, what do they have? What is it that they're doing? I want some of that. That's where these lessons and what we do with these lessons will help everybody we come into contact with, especially those, and that's our duty, is to uplift fallen humanity. We're working on ourselves, but give somebody else a chance. We have to teach it. We can't go from day to day and not talk about it to anybody. That's not what our prophet wanted us to do. We have to talk about it and teach it. And let's see. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end in my measure. But man, this chapter here, I was hooked, because it brought what was already inside of me out. I had already been striving for it. I've been striving for years for it. But when I started reading this, and I done read books thicker than this, but it's all in here. It's all in here. And it's right here. This right here will wake it up. And that goes for everybody we talk to. And so I'm going to end it right there. Islam, peace and love. That's my measure.
Islam, that is our National Assistant Grand Sheikh Mazukrazine L. Beautiful measure there, AGS Mazukrazine L. He helped us to appreciate how man is a thought of Allah, thus we are infinite, with no beginning and no end. And he touched upon, as when we're on the plane of the soul, we are raising our ethers, i.e. your thoughts. You're raising your thoughts. This is where that final battle takes place. And he pointed out on page 5 there how let's see, where was it at? I can't find it now, but oh yeah, man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest protocol. No, that's not it. And I was just looking at it. Now I can't find it now. But anyway, the thought was that how we have to develop our thought. And we have to develop our thought by exercise of strength. And he spoke about willing, thoughts, thinking, understanding, reasoning, and willing. You see? And so we will ourselves to do what is righteous. This is how we strengthen ourselves. This is how we develop thought, by exercise of strength, by willing ourselves to do what we know is right. And when you do that, when you force yourself to do something that you might not normally do, you are lifting that weight to strengthen your thoughts. Islam. And when you do this every day, you become stronger and stronger. Your will becomes unbreakable. So a beautiful measure there, AGS Marzouk Razine L. And as he pointed out, how that there in the the last paragraph here, then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul where he must complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before him on the plane of soul. That is the plane of thought. That's where the battle has to be won. Islam, on the plane of thought. And that ties in with what Brother Rockman Bey pointed out, how we were released from the physical chains, but we are still mentally enslaved. You see, you can't see the chains. So we got to come to, we've got to become cognizant of how we have been mentally enslaved and break free of that. Excellent measure, AGS Marzuk Razine L. Honors to you. Honors to Brother Rockman Bey. Honors to AGS Quincy Robinson L. All the measures were appropriate. They just highlighted so many beautiful points and things that we have to put into action, but we have to do it. Each of us as an individual. But at the same time, we come together as a unit, and we talk about these things. We think about these things. And as I always say, our holy day is the day when iron sharpens iron. We sharpen one another by expressing our perspective of the Quran, because each and every one of you has a unique perspective. Islam, each and every one of you. And we need to come together, just like all the cells in the brain work together for the benefit of the entire brain, but not just the whole body. Islam. So this is what we have to do. All right, beautiful measure. With that, our Grand Sheikh, Toronto Johnson Bey, aka Taharka Aboke Bey. I know our Grand Sheikh is ready.
Islam, can you hear me?
Islam, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm good and ready. I was, hey, there's a saying I used to say about the if anybody ever see horse racing before at the Preakness, and you got the horses, they sitting up in that little corral thing, and they just patting, they huffing and puffing. They know it's time to go. It's go time. It's go time. Family, I wanna thank everybody who's joining here on Facebook. I want to thank everybody that took time today to join our Holy Day meeting, the members, and all those who wasn't able to make it today. Hope you come back and watch the replay. I also want to thank a special thank for those who came out in the blistering cold. I never thought I'd use that word, the blistering cold of Michigan. To hear me lay down the history of Prophet Noble Drew Ali early years that I can say that many people are not privy to. You know, it surprises me when I research. You know what I mean? It surprises me. Trust me on this one. When I research something, it could be anything. I don't know what I'm going to find. I'm going to be honest to the research. I don't know what I'm going to find. I'm not researching with an objective to find something specific. I'm just researching to find what is there so I can relay it to those who are interested. I'm not an agenda researcher. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I want to thank everybody that came out. And that's what old people saying. You know what I mean? I guess I'm old now. I'm in the old people club now. Blistering cold. That's a special kind of cold. But with that being said, family, listen, family, I want to break this down. I want to go over just a little bit. I want to go over just a little bit, because this chapter here, chapter 1, the creation and the fall of man. Let me tell you something. When we look at this chapter, the creation and the fall of man, let me just underscore the title. I say in Facebook, I say, you are weak because you doubt the God in you. That's why you're weak. That's why we weak. That's why we all weak. We weak because we doubt the potential of the God in us. Hey, family, can I talk about the elephant in the room, if I may? That's why people so mad at Taharka Bey, because they doubt the God in themselves. So they believe that the God in Taharka Bey will supersede their influence that they would have over somebody. But this is not about having some influence over somebody for some personal gain. This is about taking this and saving yourself. And when you take this and save yourself, or put a good effort into saving yourself, the halo. You remember them old pictures of the European Jesus holding that lamb, and there was a little bright thing behind his head, the sun, that halo, that helium. The helium is going to shine. And people are going to come close to feel the warmth of the helium. Hey, this is God's plan, in the words of 50 Cent. It ain't mine. I ain't never see myself right here. I've never stepped up and say I wanted to be a grand sheik. I never did that. Edward Zell, who chaperoned me to Chicago, can tell you, I never tried to be a grand sheik. It chose me. Bailey Hill chose me. I never requested it. I never looked for it. I ain't even know what it was about. But we here today, and the people are responding. And the people are responding. Yeah. They come to see that I'm not the boogeyman that they done made me out to be. Man, honors to my brother Daniels Bay and Arno Bay and everybody in the noble temples that have supported and made that way to Detroit. My wife, T. Moody L, T. Page L. If I forget you, I didn't forget you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, my main man, Marcus. Good goodness and grace. I was trying to give you some, Marcus Leonard Bay was trying to give you some accolades, but you didn't catch the link, man. But honor to you and honor to everybody who, in the noble temples, that have played a role to make this successful. But the family, let me just get to it. First and foremost, let me rise and give praise to the great God of the universal law. I give honor to his prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Family, most people are weak. We are weak. And when we are weak, that means that we have doubted the God in us. We have doubted the Allah in us. This is why people are intimidated of a loudmouth Tahaka Bay. This is why people are intimidated of a go-getter like Arno Bay. This is why a person is intimidated by a baritone like Marzouk Razinel and those staff members of the Noble Temples. Because, listen, we don't doubt the God in us. We work to unfold the God in us. This is why I honor to my brother Rockman Bay, who made that trek through that storm to get to Michigan State up into level 7. When you see that energy of the noble temples, oh, you see something that we call Drew Ali Moors. We see something that we call Drew Ali Moors, meaning that if the Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't say it, if he didn't do it, if we can't prove it, then we're not doing it either. And when we follow the Prophet to that destiny, which is not uncertain nor unknown, oh man, you got a special type of glow with you. You got a special type of glow with you. And so tonight, I want to break down the creation and the fall of man, because man have yet to try to dust himself up and pick himself up. Now listen, let's look at the title. Remember, in the noble temples, affectionately known as the noble temples, I always like to say, family, always examine the title. It's called The Creation and the Fall of Man. One thing about me, I look at that as one act. Creation, fall. You know why I look at it as one act? The reason why I look at it as one act, I don't look at it like man was created and then he fell. Nah, as a two-step process, I look at it creation and fall. I look at it as a conjunction. Conjunction, what's your function? Creation, fall. This is how I look at it. Let me tell you why I look at it like that. I'm going to calm it down just a little bit. Because the keys are within this lesson. Where the prophet talks about a seed. He said, man is but a seed of a law. And this seed must unfold. He said, this seed must, and I'm going to go over it in a minute. He said, this seed of God that's in man, it must unfold. It must be planted in the soil that it can unfold. That tells me that the universal creator, that energy that we call God, that energy that we call Allah, it must have the opposition given to itself so it can bring out its greatest potential. And each one of us have that seed of Allah in us, and each one of us must bring out the greatest potential by opposition. And even the universal creator designs opposition for itself so it can bring out the greatest potential. So the fall is not a bad thing. The fall is all about bringing out the divine you. The fall is all about bringing out that part of you that you didn't know exists, and it will only come out by opposition. So the universal creator of law, the universal energy, even the universal energy must have opposition in order for the universal energy to manifest the greatness and the beautiful things that you see even with your physical eyes. The opposition must be there. See, we see it in everything. We see it in earthquakes. Once you see an earthquake, know for sure we see the casualties. But after the earthquake, know for sure that the land is just expanded just a little bit more. It made a little bit more land for you. You know, when you see the volcanoes and the stuff that comes out the volcanoes, the lava. One thing that happens, it causes some casualties now, but after the casualties, the lava forms islands. The lava performs many more lands for little you and little old me. And so this opposition is a part of the development of the divine self. So our prophet teaches us, time never was. Time never was when man was not. Family, if you think that one day that you have faded to black and you just appeared here, then you have been mistaken. Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us that the spirit in us, that the seed in us, that the energy in us always was. And guess what? It always will be. But it just needs some opposition in order to test it, to try it, to give it some tribulations that it may overcome. So in this chapter it says, time never was when man was not. If life of a man at any time begin, a time will come when it will end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. In other words, I don't care if you are in the church, if you are in the mosque, if you are in the synagogue, or wherever you may be. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. In other words, you can't put the thoughts of the universal creator in your little make-believe box and think that's the end-all be-all. Because the moment that you put the law or the understanding of God in your little circle, little box, something going to happen to disqualify your little box that you put yourself and God in. So it said the thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. It says, you can't put it in your little circle and say this is the end all be all. One thing about the Moorish American, they are supposed to always have their mind always open for more possibilities that is logical and reasonable. Not more possibilities that is fantasy and fairy tale, but is logical, but that's logical and reasonable. So it says that the thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. In other words, if a person, and echoing Q. Rob Snell, if a person has, and I'm going to call a spade, if a person have a small mind, there's no way he can think deep and expansive as the universe which we look up to when we look up to the sky, and it is infinite. When you look up to the sky, you can see it to never, 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 never ending. And that's how knowledge is. It's never ending. It's infinite. But if you don't look up to the sky and don't realize that the universe is never, 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 never ending, and your whole world is right before your face, there's no way that you can comprehend the deeper understanding of the universal creator Allah. There's no way, because you have limited yourself. When you start to blame other people for your problems, you have limited yourself. when you start to give people the responsibility to relieve you out of a condition, you have limited yourself. But boy, when we get on the same page, each one teach one, each one reach one, and each one pull each one up. Man. That's when the universal chord is one. That's when the universal divine is activated. That's when there is no turning back. And then the universe will feed that energy. In other words, things will just appear. The things that you need will just appear. The things that you think that you don't need, hey, let me tell you, you won't need it. You won't need it. The things that you think that you don't need, but you want it, you will be given the strength to overcome it. The universe is going to assist. It's just going to come out of nowhere when you just going to have this type of strength. So it says, no finite mind can comprehend things infinite. Now, I want to go down and I want to explain just a little bit about this seed that's within us, that is bursting, that is urging, that is thirsty to come to the surface. Now, I said that I look at the creation and the fall of man as one. Creation, fall, one process. Creation, fall, one process. That's how I look at it. Again, why do I look at it like that? In chapter 19, verse 36, it reads, talking about our brother Jesus, page 31. He pressed along the thorny way of life till he risen and overthrown the strongest foes of a law in man. And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. He is the God man of today. But everyone of earth shall overcome and be like him, a son of Allah. He pressed along the thorny way of life. Family, most people like to take the easy road, to play along the get along road. Islam, peace, my brother. Praise Allah, my sister. They don't want to take the road where there's thorns on the road, where you're going to get poked a little bit. You're going to get pricked a little bit. You're going to be accused of being an antagonist. You're going to be accused of being a bully. You're going to be accused of all of these crazy things that Jesus and John was accused of. But that's the thorny way of life. Jesus traveled the thorny way of life. Anybody ever would see? I used to go down my grandmother's house outside of Annapolis, Maryland. And we used to like these raspberry bushes. Oh man, we loved the raspberries. But boy, them raspberries would stick. Oh my goodness, had you bleeding to get up in there because they were so sweet. Good goodness gracious. You know what I mean? But to get them raspberries, we had to get through the thorns. We had to get through the thorns. That's the thorny way of life. Sometimes you got to get poked and pried to get the actual prize. You see, and so we as Moorish Americans that is striving to unfold into our God self, we got to respect the journey and the thorns that come with it. We got to respect the journey because the thorns that come with it is the things that bring out that divine unfolding, that divine God in you. See, we weak because we doubt the God in us. That's why we weak whether it's our job, whether we up against some challenges, whether it's our health, whether it's our eating habits, whether it's our need to do this or do that. When we doubt the God strength in us, man, we just weak as ever. So we have to activate the God strength. But in order to activate the God strength, we have to understand the God strength. We got to understand that it's but a seed. And what we mean by the seed, when you look at a seed of a tree, a seed of a bush, it may be but this big right here. But boy, when you put it in the right soil, and when you nurture it properly, it get the proper light, it get the proper water, and the soil have the proper nutrients, this little piece of seed will be the biggest tree or the most beautiful flower you ever seen. The problem with the seed of Allah that's within us, the soil haven't been cleaned up. We eat the wrong foods, we drink the wrong liquids. The soil haven't been cleaned up. The soil got to be nutrient. It got to have some nutrients in that soil. You see, this is the soil. This is the soil, the flesh. We got to make sure we eating right. Make sure we exercising right. See, listen, we always disqualify the body because that came from our Christian way of thinking. When the preacher said, and I'm talking about the European Christian way of thinking, when the preacher said that it's not what you put in the mouth, what comes out of the mouth, it's what you put in the mouth. And you know, all that old remix. And if you're praying to the Lord, it's all good, basically. You know what I'm saying? That's foolishness. That's foolishness. This is the vehicle that carries the Spirit of God. This is the vehicle that carries the energy of God. And you mean tell me you neglect the Spirit? Listen, you don't even neglect your car that carry you to work every day. If you do, you won't get to work. Bet that. And if you don't get to work, you're going to be short on your bills. So what make us think that this is different? So because the soil is challenged, then the spirit within us will have a challenge unfolding. Because before it can rise to the surface of the flesh, it also got to deal with the soul. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But with Jesus said, it says he pressed on a thorny way of life, and he risen and overthrown the strongest foes of a law and man. Know for sure that there is two levels of the foes that we must unpack and conquer. We must unpack these. What is the foes of Allah? Man, those foes on the soul plane that you don't even see. What is the foes of man? These are those foes on a plane of things made manifest. Let me tell you the difference, family. Let me go up here and I'm gonna jump around a little bit. We are in chapter 1, and I'm gonna go over to page 5. It says, a multitude of lessons man must learn on the plane of soul, and he tarries here many ages until his lessons are learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether plane began to vibrate slower still, and the essence took on a final garb. Stop right there. When we talk about the plane of soul, as mentioned by our assistant Grand Sheik, we're talking about a state of mind. It's not a place of meets and bounds. If you are on the internet and you have followed leaders that tell you that someone has died, they have transitioned, they have passed away, and now they are on the plane of soul as if it's some planet like Venus, they don't know what they're talking about. The plane of soul is a state of existence. It's a state of mind. It's not a place of meets and bounds, but the attributes and the problems that you face on the plane of soul is just a little bit different than a plane of things made manifest. Again, the plane of things made manifest is the plane of what you see here on earth because it's manifested, but it's also some qualities that you will be faced with that's a slightly different from the plane of soul. Let me give you an example. And I love to give this example. If you ever smoked cigarettes before, I know Nile ain't smoked cigarettes. I used to smoke them old no good Newports. Yeah, they wasn't nothing new and wasn't nothing port or sporty about them. Yeah, man. They was alive with pleasure, they told me, but they lied. Anyway, let me give you an example about the plane of manifest. The plane of manifest is when you smoke a cigarette and your body crave the cigarette. You begin to smoke it, and the nicotine now triggers the body to say, I want a cigarette. I want a cigarette. I want a cigarette. The plane of manifest is when one overindulge in promiscuous sex, and now the body saying, I need more. I need more. I need more. I need more. They do it with food. They do it with drink, they do it with drug abuse, they do it with everything. It's the same, it's alike in everything. The level, it may be just different, but it's alike. But the body begin to crave. That's the plane of manifest. These are the things that we may suffer. And there's many of them, though. I just named quite a few. I just named a couple. But these are the challenges that man, woman, will suffer on the plane of things manifest. It's a physical urge that is always going to lead to your detriment. It's going to be to your detriment. It's a physical urge. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, study the higher self and lower self. You have to study it and find out, is these urges leading or going to be to my detriment? But that's the plane of made manifest, is when the body is craving something. Now here is the plane of soul. The plane of soul is that part of experience when, oh, you no longer addicted to cigarettes, but your mind or your brain can't let it go. Want not the brain or the mind or the whatever you want to call, but the soul begins to go and get another one. Go and get another one. You know you, but your body don't want it no more. Your body ain't craving. Now the soul, somebody fall in love. Take the promiscuous sexual person. They go abstinent or they chill out and they heal themselves from the physical urge. Now, that soul urge begins to say, look at that one there. That's that whisper. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. That's that soul urge, right? On another level of the soul is when one falls in love with one who is no good for them. They know there is no good for them. They know they are no good for them, but they continue to go down that destructive path. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, suffer not thy soul to be enslaved by the allurements of imagination. In other words, the soul be urging you to keep going. No matter how reckless it may be, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going until you hit a brick wall and then you can't go no more. And it's that old saying, where as though when you can't do for yourself, Allah gonna do it for you, helping out babies and fools. You see what I'm saying? Because you hit that brick wall. But that's when the soul is urging you. And when your soul get ensnared by the allurements of imagination, in other words, you are alluring yourself. It's not a physical urge. You are alluring yourself with a fantasy. Allure is walking you into a trap. Suffer not thy soul to be ensnared. And then you are ensnared. And when you know anything about being ensnared, the more you wiggle, the more you get trapped into it. The more you try to fight to get out of it, the more you get locked into it. And sometimes when animals are ensnared, they'll rip their flesh off and bleed out. So the prophet says, suffer not thy soul to be slaved by the allurements of imagination. So on the boundary of the plane of soul, these are the challenges that one must face, and they must overcome them. Let's look at what it say. It says, page 5, it says, a multitude of lessons man must learn on the plane of soul. And here he tarries many ages. Many ages. In other words, there's going to be enough problems that we call problems that you're going to have to overcome, that it takes more than one lifetime. Do you know how long an age is? An age is considered almost 2,000 years. It says you're going to tarry there many ages. Time never was when man was not. See, this little 80 to 100 years that we may be here on earth, we think that that's the end all be all. No, you better get on the striving train and start to strive to unfold. He says you'll tarry many ages. But hold up. After that, it says, the perfumes and the odors and the true sensations and all the love was clothed in flesh. The perfume and the odors, the perfume, that's that sweet spirit of Allah that dwells within man. The odors, that's that physical murky ethers of the flesh. Now they are combined together. And now you must deal with the urges of the flesh. It says, and man was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life. And so the carnal self was full manifest. A nature spring forth from fleshly things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. And thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. There we go with the opposition of creation and fall. Thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. So this is a thought. This is a thought process. The plane of soul is thinking your way out of that condition. The plane of manifest is thinking your way out of that condition. There is not no place called the plane of soul like the planet Mercury. It's a thought process, but you have to be able to differentiate what is tugging at you. Is it the soul or is it the flesh? Is it the, see, when you understand which one is tugging at you, you are more equipped to battle it and to overcome it and to overcome it to the point where you unfold into your God self. We are here. All people on earth are here to unfold into their greatest self, which we call the seed of Allah that's implanted in this soil in us all. See, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, man, listen, born in the state of North Carolina, 1886. How does he know this? How does he know how to piece this thing together like this? He told us that he was divinely prepared and sent to this earth. Family, I can't find nothing wrong with it. I challenge anybody to find something wrong with it. I'm telling you, and I used to always say it, and I say it again. If you are an Eskimo living in an igloo, this applies to you. This ain't like one of those religious type of doctrines where it only apply to you that call yourself Moorish American. Nah, this is the creation and fall of man. This cover all man. All. This is universal. Man, if you're wearing a loincloth in South America, just chilling in a law in front of a fire, this applies to you. That you must overcome the attributes of the soul and the attributes of the flesh. You must overcome. You cannot get around it. So what are the attributes of the soul? Let's speak on it real quick. Understanding the soul just a little bit. I'm going to go to the soul of man. The soul of man on page 46, chapter 38, verse 5. Prophet Noble Drew Ali teach us about the soul. He says, search it by its faculties. Know it by its virtues. First, search it by its faculties. Search it by its faculties. Search it by its power. Know the power that the soul have that urges you. But you can't get it confused with the flesh. You gotta know that it's the soul tugging at you, because it taught in this chapter, the soul of man. Inquiry is her delight. In other words, the soul is seeking information. And so if you are not paying attention, the soul will take you over there to touch that stove, just to teach the soul that it is hot. And if you don't remember that it's hot, you might keep on touching it, because inquiry is her delight. It says, search it by its faculties. It's powerful. How powerful is the soul? We know that power is but an illusion. But if we don't know that it's an illusion and we feel that urge and it's coming from the soul, guess what it's going to do? It's like grabbing a bull ring that's 2,000 pounds, and a little ring in the nose can drag it around. That's how the soul can do us if we don't know what the soul is urging us to do. But if you're not careful, you can confuse the soul attributes with the manifest or physical attributes. You always got to know that the physical or the problems on the plane of things manifest has going to have a physical urge. But even the soul can transfer into physical pain. Anybody ever fell out of love and it made them sick? Oh, made them stomach hurt. Oh my goodness, I don't want to live no more. Oh my goodness, please come back. That's the soul right there. Good goodness, one of them bad breakups. I mean, one of them bad breakups, you go drink all the Jack Daniels in the liquor store. Throw up all over the bathroom. You know what I'm talking about? One of them ones, y'all know y'all did that back in the day. I know you don't do it now. I'm just saying. But that soul begins to transfer over to the physical if you don't get a hold on it. You know, that stomach pain. I got butterflies. That type of thing. It can start from the soul, but the next thing you know, oh man, I feel like I got car sick or something. The soul is that powerful. It can start to go into your physical and make you ill. But first, it starts with a thought. And so it says, search it by its faculties. I'm just giving an example. And then it says, know it by its virtues. Why does it say know it by its virtues? The virtues are the good qualities of the soul, the best qualities of the soul, the morale of the soul. It said know it by its virtues, because when you see the virtuous side of the soul, the urging of to do something that's right just because it's right, take a note of it. Take a note of it. Know how it feels. Know what it is. So when you feel that urge again, you know you're not going down the wrong path. This urge is going to be a part of the developmental process. Take a note of it. Know it by its virtues. And the prophet teach us there are more in number than the hairs on thy head. The stars of heaven is not to be counted with them. And so it says, know it by its virtue. So you know what that's a 25-hour job. That's a 25-hour job. Ain't but 24 hours in a day. That means you got to be monitoring yourself 25 hours. You got to monitor yourself so you can learn yourself. See, we've been living on cruise control of self. We get an urge, we go do it. We get a feeling, we make it happen. We've been on cruise control. The human journey of the Moorish American Muslim and the Moor here in America has been on autopilot. They just been rolling. They don't know what triggers them. They don't know what actually is happening within the mechanics of the physical and the soul attributes of man. They just respond. That's why you see on the internet that everybody just respond to everything. I mean, you know what I mean? People come at me all day. I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna respond to that. That don't benefit what I'm trying to do. And I'm gonna leave that alone. That ain't gonna benefit what I'm trying to do. Oh, that right there, that's a great promotion piece. I'm gonna respond to that. I'm not tripping off. Then listen. Let me get to the lesson. It says, our prophet teaches us, think not with Arabia. Think not with Arabia. See, we got many Moors that be thinking with Arabia. That's why they be dressing and doing all these funny things in the name of Islam. Think not with Arabia, that one soul is parted among all men. Neither believe that thou with the sons of Egypt, he didn't say Kemet, with the sons of Egypt, that every man has many. Know that as thy heart, so is thy soul is one. Understand what that one means. As thy heart, so is thy soul is one. Oneness means that she, the soul, is one. It's alike in all. Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're Eskimo. It doesn't matter if you are an Arab somewhere that believes something else. It doesn't matter. She is one. The soul is one. And when you transition, that same soul will rebirth itself. You ain't getting no new soul. You got what you got, and you got to work with it to unfold it. That's it. She is one. Let me go a little bit more. It says, and this is something with you that really give clarification of how to understand the soul. It says, doth not the sun harden the clay, and doth not it soften the wax? As the sun worketh both, even so the soul willeth contraries. In other words, the soul can urge you in the right direction to do the right thing, but it also can urge you in the wrong direction. And if you don't know that it's doing that, giving you that urge, because remember, inquiry is her delight, and she won't be held back. If you don't know how to differentiate that this is the wrong urge and you follow it, listen, These urges have led to, and no disrespect, have led to grown men to cut off their private parts. Those are, that stuff is real to them. It is real to them. It's a soul thing that's like the more you put in your soul that is falsehood, the more it becomes the reality of that individual. So if it's a trick or if it's a true process of getting out of that matrix, it's to understand that the truth is the only thing that is going to solve the equation to help unfold the soul connected to the seed of Allah and everything bloom together. And so when that happens, our brother Jesus teaches us that he is in chapter 19, it says 19 verse 37, he is the God man of today. When that happens, when the physical self is tamed, when the soul is tamed, and I use the term tamed, you got to tame that demonstration. You know what I mean? You got to point it in the right direction. You got to stay on point with it. When it is tamed by the divine spirit within us, everything becomes one. And then the power of Allah connects to the force of Allah. And then the resurrection is a fact. In other words, your power is restored. Your birthright is restored. Your vast estate is restored. But we don't step up to the challenge of the physical oppositions because we don't understand it. We don't know why we feel the way we do half of the time. We don't know where it's coming from half of the time. We don't know if we're coming or going. We don't know if it's a physical urge or if it's something, I just feel it in my gut. You know, we used to always say that, oh, I got a gut feeling. We don't know what the gut feeling is. We don't know if we got to poop. We don't know if we got to urge. We don't know what's going on. See, the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali helps us to decipher what's going on so we can get back on that divine path. You understand what I'm saying? See, listen, I know I be saying things in such a way that people not used to, but it's the real deal. If we want to get back to our God self, we have to understand self. This is why the Prophet Noble Drew Ali tell the Moors to, if you ask me what to study, I say yourselves. And if you say you have studied them well and ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. Family, this is more than one lifetime mission. Let me read just a little more. Creation in the fall of man. Remember, this fall is only for us to reach our highest height. That's it. This is not, listen, I know I used to go into my mind and ask myself, what is this all about? Is this journey trivial? Is God playing some board game with us? Anybody ever did that before? Like, what is this all about? Is this like we born, we meet some challenges, people die, and like, what is this all about? Is this some board game? I mean, is this some practical joke that God is playing? This before I be unfolded to understand a little bit more. Like some practical joke or something? It's some trivial game? And then I found out that the spirit of God that dwells within us all, it needs the challenges to unfold. It needs what we call suffering, but suffering is not suffering with a boo-hoo, wham, woe is me. It's not that. It's the challenges that help bring it out. And all energies need that challenge. From the seed that's going into the soil that becomes a tree, I think our brother mentioned, the seed got to bust out that husk. Once it busts out the husk, it got to bust through the surface of the soil. Once it busts through the surface of the soil, it got to continue. Boom. And then the tree have rings on it because it got to expand. Boom. And then it shoots towards the heaven. Well, that's our journey. The seed of Allah, we have put falsehood around it, and that's the husk we got to break out. We have cloaked that seed of Allah and covered that seed with Allah with such a hard shell of falsehood that we don't know when it's going to come to the surface. But just like other seeds that's put it in the earth, it got to bust through that husk. It got to bust through that husk. And once it busts through that husk, it's going to come to the surface. And then it's going to shoot towards the heavens. And that's the same thing with the seed of Allah and us. But the only thing that assists us and that's going to help us is the unadulterated truth. It don't matter who you are. You're going to have to accept the unadulterated truth. European, Asiatics alike, you're going to have to accept the unadulterated truth, because if you don't accept it, you are going to be on a hamster wheel. You're going to be on a hamster wheel of unfolding. You're not going to unfold. I mean, you're going to be on a hamster wheel of not unfolding. You're just going around and around and round and round. I remember I met this guy, European, here in Baltimore, and I would love when y'all come here. I gotta take y'all to see him. He got a museum, an African museum, and I mean he got deep blue eyes. I mean pale European. Man, let me tell you something. Man, he will run circles around some of these brothers out here with African history. He know everything about every country in Africa. He know everything about every mask out of every country. I mean, he know the languages. He know everything. And let me tell you something about him. I told him personally, I said, man, I'm telling you, I think your next journey, you definitely Asiatic. Ain't no doubt in my mind. He's so humble. I said, you gonna be reborn Asiatic. I said, you got to be. Because the way, man, he if you come to Baltimore, I'm gonna show y'all, I'm gonna take y'all up there to his museum. He got his museum in the hood, in Park Heights. I'm trying to tell you, he's so humble, and nobody can walk in there without him taking you on a tour. If you ain't got no money, he's gonna take you for free. You understand? He's gonna take you for free. You follow what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you gotta understand that, man, we got people that is right on the crux. We got people that's right on the crux. How did brother screen share on here? We got people that are right on the crux, standing right beside us, and we don't even know who they are. We don't even know who they are. But our prophet is teaching us that we will unfold. Everyone will unfold, but it got to be intentful. Listen, speaking about the guy here in Baltimore, he's not familiar with the Moorish doctrine. He's not familiar with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, besides what I done told him. But the way that he carried himself, the way that he exemplified his journey, shows me that it's universally written in the same way that we see these lessons. You follow what I'm saying? And our prophet teaches us in closing that after we conquer, I want y'all to listen to this real quick, because I'm going to close with this. The prophets say we will suffer trial and temptation manyfold. Trial and temptation manyfold. That manyfold don't put no number on it. So that means that's a number that's not a number, and it's indefinite until you stop it. Until you stop it. You can only stop the trial and temptation manyfold and by the way that you respond to it. If you respond to physical urges that is a detriment to you, you're going to, if you respond to them negatively, to the negative, then you can expect to have them for a long, long time. And if you die in your iniquity, you can expect to be born again with those same challenges. Trials and temptation manyfold. It says, I'm going to go down a little bit. It says, man will be fully saved and redeemed. Ain't nobody going to save you. You have to overcome these things. Listen, man will be fully saved and redeemed, perfected by the things he suffered on the plane of flesh and the plane of soul. That is indicative of the mind power that you have to exert to overcome the trial and temptation. You can cut the number of the trial and temptation by your choices. It says, When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will have served its purpose and it will fall and be no more. That does not mean that you're going to drop the flesh and it's going to go in the dirt. That means it has no more effect on you. It will fall and be no more. It will be beneath you. It has no effect on you. Why do I say that? Because in our record it teaches that Jesus promised to clothe himself in flesh again to walk with his disciples. So that shows me that he can still have the flesh, but it has fallen from the state that brings him down with it. Now he become the flesh divine. Let me rewind it and remix it and say it another way. It will fall and be no more. It will have no effect on you as it once had with its carnal nature. Now the flesh transmutes into flesh divine, and now it has a divine high vibration, and you can still walk in the flesh as Jesus was transmuted from mortal to flesh divine. Don't let nobody tell you that when you unfold into your full unfoldment that you're going to rot in the ground. No, 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 no. Jesus promised that he will clothe himself, not just pop up one day, when, oh, I'm a baby, I'm born again, that he will clothe himself. That shows us that we have the power to manifest ourselves in and out these planes at will once we unfold. Man, I done went too far. Once we unfold the divine spirit within us, we got the power. We have given our power away. We have given our power away. When we truly have the power, we can transmute ourselves into those that left before us. We can talk and see those who left before us. We can see with the eyes of soul in the divine power. We just don't, we weak and we don't understand the power within this vessel. But once we understand the power within this vessel, there is nothing that can stop what we are setting out to do. There's nothing that can stop what you have set yourself to do. This is why in our record it reads that set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal. I mean, once you have truly awakened, let me tell you something. You might not hoop and holler like a Tahaka Bay. You may not be able to express it like Tahaka Bay, but when your soul is on fire, man, ain't nothing can stop you. Ain't nothing can stop you. Because that fire and holy zeal comes from a place that you can't even understand. You can't even understand. So lastly, not least, it say, man cannot die. Hold up. Let me go back. Then he would stand untrampled on a plane of soul, where he must full complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will he stand. These he must overcome. Yea, overcome everyone. Thus, this is the secret, family, and this is what we got to remember. And I want to say two more things in closing. This is what we got to remember. Thus, hope will be his beacon light. Hope will be his beacon light. Family, many of us have given up hope. You know what a beacon light is, right? A beacon light is what guides the ships home in the dark waters so they don't run on the rocks. We let hope go. We don't believe that there's a God seed in us. We don't believe that the power of the God seed is equal to the universal creator. Because as the Father, so is the Son. And when I say Son, not because you're mine, because you shine like one. It's equal. I and my Father are one. The beacon light is to know that you and Allah are one, and you see it, and you striving to get there. And there's a light. You got to follow the beacon light. If you can't run up on the rocks, let hope be your beacon light. It says, thus hope will be his beacon light. There is no failure to the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah. And as Allah lives, man cannot die. When man have conquered every foe on the plane of soul, the seed will have full opened. will unfold into holy breath. The garb of soul will have served its purpose well, and man will need it nevermore, and it will pass and be no more. And man will then attain unto blessedness of perfectness and be at one with Allah. So, family, I just said a lot, and I hope that you can go back and review this and understand the difference between the motivation of the flesh, the motivation of the soul, and be able to study that in your everyday life. And every time you get some sort of urge, every time you get some sort of inkling, ask yourself, is that coming from a high vibration, a low vibration? Is that the flesh tugging at me to go low? Is that the soul tugging at me to go low? Or is that the soul tugging at me to go high? Is that the spirit of Allah knocking at my door? What is these urges and these thoughts coming from? And that's the ultimate study of self. With that being said, I yield the floor to the Grand Sheik of the virtual Moorish Science Temple of America, S. McCallum Bay. Family, again, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for supporting the work that we are setting out to do. And if you wish to join us, family, let me tell you something. All the glitz and glamours of the pictures, they only happen once in a while. The real work is within self and within these meetings to build this camaraderie and to build this brotherhood and this sisterhood. And then the work and the pictures come last. The work on self comes first. So when I say the work in the picture, I'm talking about that stuff that you see on the internet. That's the last stuff. That stuff that you see, that's the last stuff. The first work is doing that work from within to the outwards bounds of life. With that being said, I yield the floor. Islam, brother. S. McCallum Bay.
Islam Grand Sheikh Tahaka Boke Bay, beautiful demonstration, helping us to appreciate the creation and the fall of man. How this thing we call life is just our gym to work out and get stronger, to reach that deific life. Islam. So we, man, I mean, he just highlighted so many points. It made it so crystal clear. This is where we regain our lost estate, our heritage. And it's not something, people have been taught that, they think in estate in a physical sense. No, it's not. We lost our spiritual estate. We've lost the understanding of who and what we are and what we're actually capable of. That's what we lost. We've forgotten who we really are. And now it's time to call it back to memory and to execute it. Islam? All right. Beautiful, beautiful demonstration. Honest to everyone that gave the measure. Previously, all the speakers, AJS Quincy Robinson L., Brother Rockin Bay, our national assistant secretary, AJS Marzouk Razine L., our national assistant grand sheik of the Moorish Science Temple, and of course, the people's grand sheik, Kahako Boke Bay. Islam. So honest to each and every one of you, that was our holy day. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it because I certainly did. This is the day when iron sharpens iron. Islam? All right. So with that, Grand Sheik, do you have any additional announcements?
Yeah, I like to say this. Anybody on Facebook, family, if you would like to join us, message me. And listen, when I say join us, that don't mean that you take it out of membership and now all of a sudden you kumbaya, Islam and every day. Nah, join a meeting, ask some questions. Much of the information that I teach, I don't know. I just teach it random. I don't know what people are looking for. So if you are on the internet and you have some questions, people hit me up every day and people be getting mad at me because I can't respond to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I get hit up every day. I don't respond to everybody. There's no way humanly possible I could do that. From Facebook, from YouTube, there's no way humanly possible. But if you are interested in having some answers to your questions, join us on a Sunday class. We have Q&As. And matter of fact, I make a whole class out some questions sometime. Join us. Ask the question. Any question. I don't care what the question is. Because listen, salvation is personal. And you should have your questions answered. Salvation is personal. You know, like the Eminem song, you only get one chance to blow. You only get one shot. You know what I mean? Now, with that being, I say that to say that you want to make sure that as you strive towards understanding this journey and this purpose, you want to try to get it right the first time. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're going to be perfected now. Don't get that twisted. But you want to at least get some clarity that makes sense the first time. You don't want to be like me and the clarity come at 30 and 40 years old, although you've been around since you were 17 going on 18 in Moorish circles. Nah, you want to be able to, if you coming into the knowledge of the Moorish Science Temple of America from the historical perspective or even the divine perspective of this Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, you want to try to get clarification of to some level the first time around. Man, you don't want to be 40 years later like, oh, I get it. You know what I'm saying? They say it's never too late. But nevertheless, if you got questions, the time now is to ask them. Because people are being people are to the point where they're so interested right now, there may come a time I won't be able to have those type of personal dialogues in these comforts of these small meetings because people are definitely waking up and ready to move forward. So join us, send me a message. I'll get the link to you and we can make a class out of some of those questions that people may have. And if you're a part of another group, just tell your leadership. I'm gonna sit in on this for a minute and just make sure that they don't be disgruntled about you sitting in on this. I don't mind any of that, but I don't encourage anybody from any other leadership just to duck from their leadership just to try to come here and ask some questions to run back to their leadership and play those games. I don't play none of those games. If you're sincerely interested, then step up to the plate, and I don't mind answering the question because your question is going to help everybody else who also have questions. But please don't come playing no games. We done seen all the games. You can't get away with it. We already seen them all. Just come with sincerity of heart, and we can get some questions answered. I yield the floor, Grand Sheik.
It's on, Rashid. All right. With that, we ask for our volunteers.